G'day legends and welcome. You've stumbled into Comedic Chronicles. Today we're heading down under to marvelous Melbourne. The year is 1997, a simpler time, but one bloke was about to complicate things in a very bare way. We've got a burglar with a unique selling point. He decided to commit his crimes completely stark naked. Yes, you heard right. Birthday suit burglary. Did this audacious au naturel approach work? Did he outsmart the entire police force? Or did it all go spectacularly wrong? We're going to strip this story bare. Hold on to your hats and maybe your trousers. Melbourne in 1997. What a time to be alive. Our protagonist, a 29-year-old Melburnian, let's call him Nude Ned. His actual name, Charles Robertson. But Ned sounds funnier. Ned had a light bulb moment. He decided the key to successful thievery was to do it in his birthday suit. No disguise, just pure, unadulterated Ned. His logic was simple. No clothes, no fibers, no conviction. But mate, what about fingerprints? Smudges? Did he think his hands turned invisible too? This tale of the Nude Bandit of Melbourne is pure Aussie lunacy at its finest. Spoiler alert, it absolutely did not work. Join us as we explore this bare-bummed burglary and see how it all went spectacularly pear-shaped. So, it's early 1997. Melbourne is just minding its own business. Our mate, Nude Ned, Charles Robertson if you're feeling formal. He had a sudden blinding flash of inspiration. He'd been watching. Ned figured, I'm smarter than that. No clothes means no fibers, no problem. He genuinely believed he'd cracked the code, outsmarting the entire police force with nudity. He thought he was being a cunning ninja. In reality, he was more like a nudist with a very optimistic outlook. Why go to such exposed lengths? Most burglars opt for a balaclava, maybe some gloves. Ned, he opted for his birthday suit. He was truly committed to this no-fiber notion. He envisioned himself as a criminal phantom, untraceable, undetectable, a legend in the making. Spoiler alert, he wasn't. Not even close, actually. So, with his brilliant plan firmly in place, Nude Ned set out to make his mark. He started hitting houses in Melbourne's eastern suburbs. He wasn't after anything too extravagant, just a bit of cash here, some shiny jewelry there. His modus operandi was daringly simple. He'd sneak into these unsuspecting homes at night, completely buck naked. He truly believed he was the phantom of the felony. In reality, he was probably more like the streaker of stupid. While he was so focused on dodging fiber evidence, he was leaving other calling cards all over the place. We're talking fingerprints, folks. Lots of them. Did he think going nude made his hands magically clean? His logic was, shall we say, selectively brilliant. And let's not forget the Melbourne weather. Running around Starkers wasn't exactly a tropical holiday, but no, Ned was committed to his craft. He was cold, undoubtedly, but he thought he was clever. So Nude Ned gets to work, his bold, bare enterprise. He starts small, not aiming for the crown jewels. $50 from a wallet here, a shiny necklace from a bedside table there. He's targeting those quiet, middle-class homes out in Melbourne's leafy eastern suburbs. His methods were pretty standard burglar stuff, climbing through slightly open windows, picking a simple lock or two. Except for one rather significant detail, of course. He's doing all of this completely Starkers. Before long, the whispers started. Neighbors over the fence. Did you hear about Margaret down the road? Said she saw a naked fella in her garden. A naked prowler, they started calling him. Panic mixed with a fair bit of, you're kidding me. And then, oh boy, the newspapers got wind of it. The Herald Sun probably had a field day. Reporters scrambling, headlines screaming, naked thief on the loose. They quickly dubbed him the Nude Bandit. Ned wasn't just a burglar anymore, he was a sensation. A very bare, very cheeky local celebrity in the making. Now the coppers, they were in a bit of a pickle. Ned's grand plan, the no clothes, no fibers strategy. Well, on that one specific point, he wasn't entirely wrong. police were genuinely a bit stumped initially. They'd sweep a crime scene, expecting the usual traces, but nope. No stray threads, no fabric particles, just a confused victim and some missing knickknacks. Then came the victim statements, pure gold. One poor soul told the age. I saw a shadow, then a bare bum vanishing out the window. That's not just a crime report, that's poetry. A fleeting glimpse of a posterior mid-escape. But here's the kicker, the glorious face-palming twist. While Ned was so chuffed about his no-fiber genius, he completely forgot something. Fingerprints, ladies and gentlemen. He was leaving them all over the shop. On window frames he'd shimmied through, on doorknobs he'd carelessly turned. The irony is just beautiful, isn't it? He dodged one specific forensic bullet, but walked straight into a hail of fingerprint evidence. He wasn't the phantom of the felony. He was more like a mobile fingerprinting service. Ned's luck, like his non-existent trousers, was about to run out. One fateful night, he was deep in the suburban jungle of Box Hill. Our nude Ned was on the prowl, feeling pretty pleased with himself, creeping through another unsuspecting house, cool as a cucumber. This night, however, was destined for a different kind of show. The homeowner woke up. Oh dear, Ned, this unexpected development wasn't part of your brilliant naked plan, was it? The homeowner blinked their eyes open, expecting the familiar darkness, comforting quiet. Absolutely nothing. Instead, they got a rather shocking eyeful of nude Ned himself, in all his glory, standing there, stark as the day he was born, bold as gleaming brass. The homeowner's brain probably took a solid moment or two to fully process. "Oi! What the actual hell?" echoed sharply through the previously silent, startled house. The homeowner, now thoroughly wide awake and understandably quite furious, wasn't about to let this uninvited naked interloper just vanish into the night. They probably grabbed the nearest thing of substance, perhaps a cricket bat, or maybe a sturdy umbrella, whatever was handy for impromptu home defense. "Who in the blazes are you, mate?" they'd have roared, quite rightly so. "And why on earth are you parading around buck naked in my lounge room?" It's a fair enough question, you really have to admit, under the circumstances. You don't generally expect to find a birthday-suited burglar before your morning coffee. It's not exactly your typical Tuesday night home invasion scenario, is it now? Ned was well and truly cornered, utterly exposed in more ways than one. Ned, bless his cottonless socks and his rapidly dwindling composure, had to think fast. What plausible, believable excuse could possibly explain his current naked predicament? His brain, clearly not operating at its peak strategic performance, fumbled badly. Health inspection, he blurted out, the absolute, undisputed genius of excuses. Just checking for dust. Yes, dust. In the nude, for better accuracy, you see. Yes, Ned, because all legitimate health inspectors famously work stark naked at 2 a.m. The homeowner was, rather unsurprisingly, not buying this remarkable masterpiece of deception. With a desperate, involuntary yelp, Ned turned tail and made a frantic dash for the window, his primary overriding objective now. Get out, get out, get out of there immediately. Leaving the homeowner to shout various colorful things after his rapidly retreating bare rear end. "Health inspection, my ass!" the homeowner undoubtedly yelled, voice full of righteous rage. "Get back here, you nude weirdo." A perfectly apt and concise description, really. Imagine the scene, the sheer, unadulterated, glorious Aussie chaos of it all unfold. A stark naked burglar attempting a high-speed, exceptionally low-dignity flailing exit, hotly pursued by the furious, disbelieving shouts of a very unimpressed local resident. This certainly wasn't the slick, professional, untraceable operation Ned had grandly envisioned. This was pure, unscripted, glorious late-night comedy gold, a true suburban farce. The Nude Bandit's carefully constructed fantasy of criminal invisibility was crumbling fast. Faster than his rapidly diminishing resolve to remain unclothed in a chilly Melbourne winter. His burgeoning career as Melbourne's most elusive master thief was looking decidedly droopy. Once the immediate adrenaline rush had somewhat settled, and Ned was safely out of sight, the bewildered, and probably still quite thoroughly angry homeowner did the sensible thing. They picked up the telephone and promptly dialed the local coppers for assistance. Can you just imagine that particular emergency phone call? Yes, police. I've had a break-in. The burglar, you ask? Oh, he was naked. Yes, completely. Average build. The police, now duly alerted to this bizarre incident, had a fresh lead and a cracking description. Suspect is naked, appears to be of average build, and apparently really bad at burglary. Not exactly the intimidating profile of a hardened criminal mastermind now, is it? More like the unfortunate description of someone who'd lost a very strange and public bet. Ned was leaving more than just his fingerprints. He was inadvertently leaving behind a legend. Now, after that Box Hill bungle, you'd think Ned would be cautious. Maybe lie low for a bit, you know? Perhaps take up a new fully clothed hobby, like stamp collecting, or competitive cheese rolling perhaps. But no, not our nude Ned, bless his exposed heart. He wasn't one for subtle retreats or quiet contemplation. Instead, he decided the best course of action, obviously, was to head straight down to the local watering hole. A bold move for a bloke whose face and other bits were nearly famous. Discretion, it seems, was not a garment Ned chose to wear, ever. So picture this. Ned strolls into a pub in Collingwood. A classic Melbourne pub, probably a bit rough around the edges. The kind of place where the beer flows freely, good and proper. And the stories get taller with every pint sunk, you beauty. Ned, he's feeling pretty pleased with himself, despite recent events. A few schooners deep, the amber liquid working its delightful magic. His confidence, already surprisingly robust for a naked burglar, begins to inflate. Like a poorly secured bouncy castle in a stiff Melbourne breeze. He's not just Charles Robertson anymore, oh no, not in his mind. In his mind, he's the Nude Bandit, criminal mastermind, a true legend. And what does a self-proclaimed criminal mastermind do at the pub? He brags, of course, loudly, and to anyone within earshot naturally. He starts regaling his mates, and half the pub, it certainly seemed, with tales of his audacious bare-bottomed burglaries and escapades. "I'm the Nude Bandit, boys," he slurs, beaming with immense pride. No clothes, no clues. Pure bloody genius, I tell you, absolute genius. He's painting himself as some kind of untouchable folk hero, a cunning fox outsmarting the clueless, fully clothed hounds of the law. He probably reenacted a few of his stealthy moves, minus the actual nudity, hopefully. The sheer, unadulterated audacity was quite something to behold, no argument there. His mates, well, they're probably a mix of gobsmacked and highly amused, listening intently to Ned's increasingly grandiose claims of criminal genius. One of them, a bit more switched on than the others, piped up, skeptical-like. "That's all well and good, Neddy boy," he might have said, scratching his head. "But you left fingerprints all over the place, didn't you? You flaming drongo." A sudden cold wave of dawning realization washed over Ned's previously cheerful face. His boozy bravado deflated faster than a punctured pool toy on a hot day. He just stared, utterly horrified, deep into his half-empty beer for a long moment. "Bugger," he finally muttered, the word heavy with impending doom, before chugging his drink. The genius plan suddenly seemed a tad less genius, didn't it, hey? But Ned wasn't just confessing his genius to his slightly dim mates. Oh no, his booming proud voice carried easily through the noisy pub, past the constant clatter of glasses and the distant roar of the footy on the telly. It reached the attentive ears of someone a bit more civic-minded, you see, or perhaps just someone who didn't particularly appreciate loud, naked boasts during their shift. The bartender, diligently polishing a glass, heard every single incriminating word. He wasn't laughing along with Ned's drunken, adoring entourage, not one little bit. He quietly picked up the old pub phone, his community duty crystal clear. "Yeah, coppers?" he whispered discreetly, keeping a very careful eye on Ned. "That Nude Bandit fella you're all looking for? Yeah, he's here, table 5. The coppers, they weren't mucking about, were they now? Not for a second. They'd been meticulously collecting those lovely, unique fingerprints Ned left behind. A veritable art gallery of his distinctive digital signature spread across Melbourne. From Box Hill to Doncaster, Ned's busy hands had been everywhere. Now, thanks to one very helpful and observant bartender, They had a name. And, more importantly, a current precise location for their elusive naked suspect. The scattered pieces of the perplexing puzzle clicked neatly and satisfyingly into place. The bragging bandit was about to get a rather rude and unwelcome awakening. His days of chilly, misguided, fiber-free capers were officially numbered, mate. And that number was rapidly approaching zero, very, very fast indeed now. So, before Ned could order another celebratory schooner of courage, or perhaps elaborate further on his foolproof and genius methods of crime, the worn pub doors swung open with a distinct sense of firm purpose. In walked a couple of Melbourne's finest, looking rather serious and determined. They made a direct beeline straight for table 5, where our Ned sat. Our nude bandit, still reeling from the shocking fingerprint revelation, looked up slowly. His jaw probably dropped faster than his non-existent trousers ever could have. Charles Robertson, one of the stern-faced officers, said, "You're under arrest, son." Boom! Just like that, it was all over for poor nude Ned. The nude bandit's brief and bizarre reign of exposed error had officially ended. His grand, ambitious plan to become a legendary criminal mastermind. It ended not with a dramatic bang, but with a boozy, ill-advised brag, faster than a fleeting Melbourne summer, as the old saying goes. One minute, he was the phantom of the felony in his own inflated mind. The very next, he was just another silly bloke in uncomfortable handcuffs. All because he simply couldn't keep his trap shut after a few too many beers. He mistakenly thought nudity was his ultimate secret weapon against forensic science. But his own big flapping mouth proved to be his spectacular final undoing. A cautionary tale for all aspiring burglars out there, really, if you think about it. If you're going to be a bandit, nude or otherwise, maybe just skip the pub boasts. So, Judgment Day finally dawned for our Ned. Mid-1997, and the party was truly over. No more tiptoeing through tulips, starkers. He stood before a stern-faced magistrate, likely looking a bit less bold than before, swapping his infamous birthday suit for drab court attire. The charges were read, burglary, and then some more, each one a reminder of his unique criminal flair. The courtroom buzzed, a mix of shock and amusement. How would Melbourne's nude bandit actually plead now? And what did nude Ned do, faced with the law? Did he try to deny his naked escapades? Not our Ned. He owned up to it all. Admitted every single bare-bottomed break-in he did. But here's the truly classic nude Ned touch. He still believed his nudity was a masterstroke. No clothes, no fibers, Your Honor, he argued. It was a foolproof plan, an absolute ripper, the sheer unshakable confidence in his flawed logic. You almost had to admire his stubborn conviction. You can just imagine the scene in that courtroom. The magistrate, trying to maintain judicial composure, probably had to bite the inside of their cheek to stop from bursting out laughing right then and there. This wasn't your everyday hardened criminal, was it? This was a bloke whose criminal master plan involved getting his kit off before committing a crime. The clerks, the lawyers, even the court reporter, they must have been struggling to keep straight faces. It's hard to take a nude bandit entirely seriously, so after all the evidence and Ned's bold confession, the judge, probably after a good long sigh, delivered the verdict and the subsequent sentence. Nude Ned was handed 1 year in the slammer. A relatively short stint, all things considered. Why so light, you might be wondering now? Well, he hadn't actually stolen all that much, had he? And let's be honest, the sheer bizarreness of it all probably played a part in the judge's leniency. Ned's nude ambition brought him a year behind bars. Once the judge's gavel fell, the tabloids went wild. You can just picture the headlines, can't you? The bless their cotton socks had a field day. They weren't shy about their assessment of Ned's intellect, dubbing him, for all of Melbourne to see and remember, Melbourne's daftest crook, in big, bold letters. It was a title that stuck, much like his fingerprints. Ned wasn't just a convicted burglar anymore. Oh no. He was now officially, certifiably, a local daft legend. His 15 minutes of infamy were truly shining brightly. Ned's actual time in the clink was relatively short. A year, not a lifetime for his naked exploits. But his legacy, oh, that was destined to be eternal. The Nude Bandit quickly became prime pub yarn material, a hilarious cautionary tale whispered over many a pint. Remember that bloke who burgled in the buff? It was the ultimate lesson in how to crime. A story to tell your mates, guaranteed for a laugh. He achieved a peculiar kind of immortality, did Ned. Just not the kind he probably ever envisioned for himself. The police, after the trial, likely had a quiet chuckle, confirming Ned's rather prolific print-leaving habits. His prints weren't just on windowsills and doorknobs, no sir. Ned, in his naked ambition, was far more generous. They found his calling cards on elegant vases, and for a truly surreal touch of pure Nedness, even on an innocent child's bright pink Barbie doll. Imagine the officer dusting that for prints, the sheer absurdity. It was less a series of crimes, more a tactile art show. The handprints of a nude bandit, a retrospective. If only Nude Ned had possessed a bit more foresight. Or perhaps just a simple pair of cheap cotton gloves. He might have actually achieved his dream, you know. He could have been a genuine Melbourne mystery, the phantom of the felony he so desperately craved to be. But no, his aversion to all forms of clothing was total. So instead of a legend of stealth and cunning, he became our legend, a Comedic Chronicles gold star, a bare-ass lesson in what not to do, ever. Thanks for the laughs, Ned, you absolute flaming gala. So, let's really try to get inside Ned's head, shall we? If we can even call that space a head at this point. It's the 1990s, remember? Forensics are becoming the big new thing. You had shows like making everyone paranoid about tiny clues. DNA was starting to pop up. Fibers were all the rage with the coppers. Ned, bless his shivering bare hide, wasn't entirely wrong about that bit. Clothes do indeed leave pesky traces, little telltale threads for the boys in blue. He genuinely thought he'd stumbled upon the ultimate criminal loophole, a true game changer. This was his golden ticket to becoming Melbourne's most elusive, undetectable thief, a legend in the making. A very, very cold and rather awkward legend, as it turned out, but a legend nonetheless in his own mind. But here's the monumental flaw, the giant, gaping, bloody, obvious hole in Ned's grand plan. Fingerprints, mate. Those unique, swirly patterns on the tips of your very own fingers. They've been a trusty tool for nabbing crooks since the late 1800s, for crying out loud. That's well before Ned even considered gracing the world with his naked presence, you'd imagine. Did he honestly believe that by ditching his darks, his hands suddenly became invisible too? Or perhaps he thought his skin, in its natural, unadorned state, wouldn't dare leave a mark. He was so laser-focused on the microscopic fluff and fibers from clothing, bless him, that he conveniently forgot about the most basic, classic form of crime scene evidence. It was like meticulously planning a bank heist, but forgetting to bring bags for the money. Pure genius, really. His thinking wasn't just outside the box, it was in a completely different, very chilly dimension. It truly boggles the mind, doesn't it? It's almost as if he watched half an episode, heard the bit about clothing fibers, had his eureka moment, and then promptly switched off his brain. No fibers, he probably declared to his reflection, feeling incredibly chuffed with his own brilliance. He must have envisioned the detectives at the scene, utterly bamboozled, scratching their heads in confusion. Good heavens, Sarge, there are no threads, no fabric remnants. This bloke's a phantom, a ghost. Meanwhile, back in the real world, his sweaty palm prints were probably decorating the window frames. His fingerprints were likely having a little party all over the jewelry box he just emptied. Leaving distinctive Nude Ned was here, and he touched this. Souvenirs on every single shiny surface he encountered. A true artist leaving his mark for all to see, in his own very special and very traceable way. He was building a case against himself, one bare-handed touch at a time, the helpful chap. So this grand revolutionary theory of untraceable nudity that Ned had cooked up, it was less criminal mastermind at work and far more primetime comedy gold waiting to happen. He genuinely believed he was outsmarting the increasingly sophisticated world of forensic science with his bare bum. Picturing himself as some sort of naked Neo from gracefully dodging forensic bullets. In harsh reality, he was just making the copper's job significantly easier, the helpful bloke. No need for them to painstakingly sift through carpet samples or analyze obscure fabric particles. Just a quick dust for prints, and Bob's your uncle. Ned's your burglar, case almost closed. He wasn't the slippery, elusive eel he imagined. He was just a bloke who forgot his pants and basic common sense. A cautionary tale in why you should always think through your brilliant ideas, especially the naked ones from start to finish. So once Nude Ned was safely behind bars, or at least on his way there, Melbourne, the city he'd so audaciously bared all for, absolutely erupted. The collective reaction was a glorious mix of sheer disbelief, a bit of you, and a massive dollop of pure, unadulterated Aussie amusement, you beauty. This wasn't just another crime story to be forgotten by the next news cycle. Oh no, this was the Nude Bandit, the bloke who thought pants were optional for pilfering. The city had a proper field day, didn't it just? From Flinders Street to Footscray. Everyone was talking about Ned, his bare-faced cheek, and his even barer everything else. It was the kind of bonkers yarn that makes you question if you heard it right the first time. Melbourne finally had a criminal folk hero they could truly laugh about, without any guilt. Talkback radio lines went into absolute meltdown, as you can well imagine. Stations like 3AW were flooded with calls, day in and day out. It was nuts. Half the callers thought it was the funniest damn thing they'd ever heard. The other half were probably double-checking their window locks, feeling a bit creeped out. One legendary punter, a true philosopher of the airwaves, famously declared on 3AW, and this quote is pure gold: "A clothed thief nicks your wallet, fair enough, mate. But a nude one? A nude one nicks your dignity along with your telly remote." You couldn't argue with that logic, could you? It captured the mood perfectly. The switchboards lit up like Christmas trees. Everyone had an opinion on Nude Ned. He wasn't just a criminal, he was a citywide conversation starter, a true phenomenon. The newspapers and television news outlets, well, they leaned in hard, didn't they? They milked this story for every single drop of its bizarre, clickbaity goodness. Usually all serious and proper, even got in on the act with gusto. They started running hilarious cartoons depicting a comically inept naked bandit, probably tripping over wheelie bins or getting chased by angry magpies, you know the style. It was like Ned had unintentionally gifted Melbourne a free, citywide comedy show. Ungrained, uncensored, and utterly unforgettable. A true gift to the humorists. Every newsstand, every TV bulletin had a fresh angle on the Nude Bandit's exploits. He was less of a menace and more of a recurring, beloved comedic character in the city's narrative. The media lapped it up, and so did the entire population, hungry for a laugh. And the local humor? Oh, it went into overdrive, reaching peak Aussie levels. People started making jokes about checking for naked prowlers before heading off to bed. Better make sure there isn't a nude Ned lurking behind the curtains, love. Then came the merchandise. Because of course there was merchandise. This is Australia. Some enterprising shops even started selling Nude Bandit watch stickers for your windows. A tongue-in-cheek warning to any other aspiring au naturel burglars out there. It was that perfect blend of slightly alarmed but mostly amused community spirit. Melbourne didn't just report on the Nude Bandit, they embraced him in all his silliness. He gave the city something to chuckle about, a shared moment of, can you believe this bloke? Now let's be brutally honest here, folks. This whole Nude Bandit saga isn't just about Ned. No, this is a story that taps right into the heart, the very soul of the Aussie crime vibe, if you will. We have a peculiar fondness, a soft spot, you might say, for the larrikin lawbreaker, the lovable rogue who tries something so incredibly, spectacularly dumb, it transcends mere stupidity. It almost elevates itself into a bizarre form of performance art. These aren't just crimes, they're unintentional comedy masterpieces. And we as a nation seem to secretly adore these magnificent blunderers. You see, Ned wasn't some isolated case of bizarre thinking. He fits into a proud, if slightly embarrassing, Aussie tradition. Think of the bloke who tried to use a stolen credit card to pay for his own bail after being arrested for theft, a true classic. Or the genius down in Tassie who robbed a petrol station and then accidentally locked himself in the storeroom waiting for the coppers. These aren't your sophisticated, Moriarty-level criminal masterminds, are they? They're the hold my beer and watch this brigade of the underworld. Ned, with his no pants policy, is a gold star member of this club. He's practically the patron saint of poorly thought out criminal enterprises. And here in Melbourne, we take our coffee seriously, sure. But we also take our unique, colourful characters very seriously indeed. Ned, in all his naked glory, became the undisputed king. The absolute monarch of hold my beer. I've got an even worse idea. He wasn't just a petty thief, he was a local legend in the making. A source of endless amusement and bewildered head shaking for months. In a city that treasures its quirks and celebrates its oddballs, the Nude Bandit was like a perfectly brewed, slightly off-kilter flat white. He wasn't just a criminal, he was a cultural moment, a yarn for the ages. The Nude Bandit really did show us all, didn't he? Aussies don't just commit crimes. They often overcomplicate them, with a level of audacious, and in Ned's case, buck-naked bravado. That's truly in a league of its own, a genuine Aussie specialty. So, there you have it. Legends, the unbelievable tale of Melbourne's one and only Nude Bandit, Charles Robertson. A bloke who took less is more to a whole new level, a criminal mastermind, at least in his own chilly mind. He didn't just break into houses, he broke all the rules. Especially the one about wearing pants to work, generally. He aimed for infamy, and boy did he get it. Just perhaps not for the genius he imagined, the poor bugger. He became a true Melbourne original, a story for the ages. A bare-assed contribution to the annals of Aussie crime. His grand plan, the no clothes, no fibers gambit. It was bold, you have to give him that, incredibly bold. He thought he was dodging forensics like a pro, a naked ninja slipping through the system unnoticed. But alas, Ned forgot the golden rule of sticky fingers. Fingerprints, mate. They stick around, clothes or no clothes. His brilliant scheme unraveled faster than a cheap jumper, leaving him exposed quite literally to the long arm of the law. A true testament to selective genius and wishful thinking. His legacy, a masterclass in overlooking the bloody obvious. The Nude Bandit's reign was short, his takings small, but his story, oh, that's become pure pub gold. A cautionary yarn spun over countless beers, no doubt. Remember that fella who burgled in his birthday suit? He's not remembered as a menace or a dangerous thief, more like a bewildering, slightly comical footnote in history. A source of endless chuckles and, can you believe it, moments. He's the ultimate proof that truth is stranger than fiction, especially when fiction forgets to put its trousers on before heading out. Ned, you absolute flaming galah, we salute your audacity. So that's the Nude Bandit of Melbourne, folks. A bare-arsed lesson in precisely how not to crime. A story that proves Aussie ingenuity knows no bounds, even if that ingenuity involves getting completely starkers. He left his mark, in more ways than one, on our city. A legend etched in fingerprints and fond, funny memories. Join us next time on You Legends. We'll unearth more bizarre tales. Stay dressed, won't you? Unless you're planning a very specific type of career change. Cheers for tuning in, and don't have nightmares.